Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Time for a lesson on reflections of figures. So here's just an example here that I have before we dive into the assignment. Let's say I have this shape here, this WMDA shape figure, and I want to reflect it across the x-axis. Well, the x-axis is here. When you're doing reflections, I recommend drawing the lines so you know what you're looking at. And the way you can do a reflection, remember, a reflection is like a mirror image. Here's our mirror. We need to draw over here what the reflection would look like. And so what you need to do is just find out how far your points are from the line, and then you go that same distance on the other side. So A here is just 3 above this line, so I'm going to go down 3, and there's my A prime. Remember, we put primes because we do the transformation on it. And then I can just take it 1 point at a time. D is 5 above it, so I go 5 down, and here's D prime. W is 4 above, so I go 4 below, and there's my W prime. And then M is 5 above the line, so I'm going to go 5 below, and that's going to give me M prime. And then I can connect my shape here. Make it all pretty there. And at this point, you should, here, let me do some erasing on these extra lines here. Yeah, when you look at that, it should be a reflection of this shape across this line, like a mirror image over it. These distance, the line that you reflect over should be the midpoint of these lines. It should be halfway between them. So a gap of 3 here, gap of 3, gap of 4, gap of 4. And that's how you can draw your own reflection. You find how far the points are, and you draw the same distance on the other side. So let's look at things that are on your assignment and use those kind of as further examples of this reflection process. So number 2 here says when you reflect across the y-axis. Well, here's my y-axis. Again, I like to draw the line I'm reflecting over. And I have to find out how far the points are from the line and draw them the same distance on the other side. So I, here on top, is 4 to the right. So I'm going to go 4 to the left, and that's where my I prime is going to be. V happens to be on the left side already, but it's only 1 to the left, so I'm going to go 1 to the right. And this is where V prime is going to be. R is 1 to the left, so I'm going to go 1 to the right, and that gives me R prime. And then F was on the right side, it's right 3, and you go left 3, and then it'll give me F prime. And now I'm going to connect these points, and you can look at the shape here. So sometimes your shape is already covering the line you're reflecting over, and what happens with that is everything does flip sides, but it kind of makes this kind of mirror image that's overlapping the original one, and that's okay. That happens. That's just a part of reflections. If it's covering the line, it's going to have this overlap with the reflection itself. So there we go. We've done this reflection. And on the next section, it shows you reflection, and you need to write down what it is. This one's pretty easy to tell, but in case you've forgotten, the primes mean it's the transformed version, and the one without primes is the original one. So S went from down here and went up here, and that's reflecting over this line here, which we call the x-axis. So I'm going to put, it's a reflection over the x-axis. Hooray! But that's not the only thing we need to do. It does also mention that I want you to write down the function that corresponds with those reflections. So when we reflect over the x-axis, there's a little function that goes along with it. It's this one. Your xy goes to x negative y. So your x's actually all stay the same when you reflect over the x-axis. It's the y's that change. They get a sign change. So things that were positive become negative, things that were negative become positive. And so here, if you look at the coordinates here, this is it's at 2, negative 3. And it ended up at 2, positive 3. The x's stayed the same, but the y's got a sign change. And that's how it goes for all of them. And so our function that goes along with that, we're going to use it. It's just xy goes to x, negative y. And there's our function for it. If we go back to our first one, if we reflect over the y-axis, it's very similar. Xy goes to negative x, y. When you reflect over the y-axis, the y's stay the same, right? Both of these have a y value of 1, but this had an x value of 4 and became negative 4. So the x's are getting a sign change. And so that's kind of what the first half is. The second half of this assignment has where you reflect over different lines that aren't just the x-axis and y-axis, such as number 10. If you look at this one, when you reflect over y equals -1, as a reminder, if it's x equals a number of some sort, that is a vertical line. And if it's y equals a number of some sort, like 2 or -3, then it is a horizontal line at that height. The height is fixed, but the x can change. And so if I want to reflect over this, I'm going to draw my line here. It's down here. Y equals -1. And that's what I'm reflecting over. The distance here is 1 for S and A. So I'm going to go 1 below. There's my S prime. There's my A prime. And then J is down 3. So I'm going to go up 3. And give me J here. And then C was... Oh, sorry, man. That was really wrong. Sorry. J was 2 below. I'm going to go 2 above. Man, I went way too far because I wasn't paying attention. Make sure you reflect with respect to the line. So that's 2 down. I need to go 2 up. What I did was I said it was 3 down. I went 3 up, which is the x-axis, which is not the same thing. So learn from my mistake. Just reflect over the line, not the axis. Try not to mix them up. And then C. C is down 3, so I'm going to go up 3. That's why I like to draw little swoops so I can like see it. But there's my C prime. Now I have those 4 points, and I can connect it up to make my shape. Hooray! I reflected over it. In the next section, it gives you just the function. You're supposed to follow what's going on. And again, if you've forgotten what they are, here's the x and y axis ones, and there's the ones if you reflect over a different line. And so I can use this to kind of help me figure out what the reflections are. So this one, xy goes to x -y. Oh, that's this one. So I'm going to be reflecting over the x-axis. I'm going to come here, reflect over the x-axis. That's this thing. This point stays. This one's 3 below, so I go 3 above. This one's 3 above, so I go 3 below. And now I have my shape like this. Nice little kind of butterfly-ish kind of shape. Bow tie kind of shape. It gives you that. Hooray! We did the reflection. Cool. And then our last ones are just like what it was for the translations. It just gives you the points. You have to figure out what the new ones are. This is where your function comes in awfully handy. Let's look at these functions again. I need to reflect over x equals 2. Well, that's these ones like x equals k and stuff. And so I'm going to take xy, and it's going to turn into this. This k value is this number. So since I need to reflect over x equals 2, I'm going to reflect over, the function is going to go -x plus 2 times that number, and then y is going to stay the same. So I'm going to get xy, and it's going to go to -x plus 2 times 2, and then y stays the same. That means I'm going -x plus 4. That's a 4. And then y stays the same. So that's what I'm going to. I need to take my x coordinate, change the sign, add 4, and then the y stays the same. So this is going to turn into -2 plus 4, and then the 4 is going to stay the same, which is going to be -2 plus 4, -2 plus 4, and then 4 stays the same, so I get 2, 4. So that's where my E prime turns out to be. Y goes through the same transformation here. I do -5 plus 4, and then the y stays the same. It's going to give me -1, 5 for my y prime. And then Z, it's going to be -5 plus 4. And then my y value is going to stay the same at 2. So it's going to be -1, 2. And there's my Z prime coordinate, and I got my coordinates. So I'm just using my function to get those things. And here they are again. If you like to write them down or refer to what's in your notes, these are what the transformations are. So good luck on your assignment.